Sacred Soul Sanctuary presents Soul Healing Poetry. Assalamu alaikum, dear souls, and peace to every soul who has found their way here. In the name of the one who softens, opens, and awakens the human heart, welcome to Soul Healing Poetry. I am Gulami Mustafa, and this is a space for gentle reflection, spiritual nourishment, and the healing whispers of Rumi poetry. Here, the heart is invited to speak, and the soul is invited to listen. Welcome back, dear souls, to episode 14 of Soul Healing Poetry. I'm your host, Gulami Mustafa. I hope you've all had a blessed week, and today we're looking into becoming the garden. So take a slow breath in with me and slowly let it go. Today I want to reflect on a beautiful image, the idea of becoming the garden. Many of the poems from Maulana Rumi speak about gardens, flowers, soil, and seeds. He uses images to talk about something deeper, the inner life of the heart. Because, just like a garden, the heart is something that grows, but only if we nurture it and care for it. I would like to share a short verse from Maulana Rumi with you. Sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. Cleverness is mere opinion. Bewilderment is intuition. The garden of love grows in the heart. When we first hear these words, they can sound a little unusual. Sell your cleverness, buy bewilderment. In everyday life, we're usually encouraged to do the opposite. We're taught to rely on our cleverness, to figure things out, to analyse everything, and to understand every situation. But Maulana Rumi is pointing us towards something deeper than the thinking mind. He's reminding us that sometimes the heart understands things that the mind cannot explain. Do you ever recall a moment when your mind is saying something else, but your heart is whispering something else? It's a beautiful moment. But think about the moments in your life that have shaped you the most. A loss, a betrayal, a moment of unexpected kindness, or a quiet moment where something inside you softened. I remember a small moment like that once. I was at a grocery store buying my groceries, and a person in front of me realised he hadn't bought enough to meet the minimum amount he needed to pay on card. There was a brief pause at the checkout. You know those small awkward moments where people start looking around wondering what to do. So he said, "I'll pay for her tea." That was part of my groceries. It was such a small thing. But what stayed with me wasn't the money. It was the moment that followed. Because he paid for my tea. And there was a quiet exchange of gratitude. A smile, thank you. And suddenly something softened in the space between two strangers. And I remember walking away, thinking how strange it is that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can shift the atmosphere of a moment. Nothing dramatic had happened, but for a second the world felt a little gentler. And in the moments like that, I sometimes wonder if these small acts of kindness are like seeds the divine quietly plants in the world. Little reminders that goodness is still growing, even in ordinary places. Moments like that remind us that life isn't only shaped by the difficult things we try to understand, but sometimes it's shaped by these quiet glimpses of goodness that appear when we least expect them. But the mind still wants answers. Why did this happen? Why did that person hurt me? And why did life take this path? And you know, I'm sure you all do it. It's when your mind, those questions keep going round and round in your head. But you know, the heart learns in a very different way. The heart learns through openness, through wonder, through being able to say, I don't fully understand this, but I am willing to stay present with it. This is what Maulana Rumi calls bewilderment, not confusion, but a kind of sacred openness to life, a willingness to stand inside the mystery of it. And when we soften in that way, something beautiful begins to happen. The heart becomes like fertile soil, and slowly but quietly the garden of love begins to grow within us. Think about your own real garden for a moment. A gardener doesn't rush the seeds. They prepare the soil, they remove the weeds, they water it patiently. And then they trust that growth will come in its own time. The same is true for the heart. It grows through small acts of care, through patience with ourselves, through compassion for others. Every kind thought is like planting a seed. Every moment of forgiveness is like watering the soil. Every time we choose gentleness over bitterness, something new begins to grow inside us. And over time, the heart becomes a place of beauty. Not because life was perfect, but because love was allowed to grow there. I'd like to read one of my own poems based on Maulana Rumi's Becoming a Garden. I once searched for a garden somewhere beyond this world, a place of peace where the soul could finally rest in the nearness of the divine. I thought it must live in distant mountains or hidden in the prayers of saints. So I wandered through questions that had no answers, through nights when faith felt quiet, through seasons where the heart felt like empty soil. But one day, in stillness, a whisper rose from within. Why do you search so far away? For the one you seek has already placed a garden inside your heart. Every tear you have shed has watered its soil. Every prayer whispered in the dark has planted a seed. Every moment you choose patience instead of despair has allowed something sacred to grow. The divine gardener has never left the field, even when you thought nothing was happening. Roots were reaching deeper toward unseen light. So now I sit quietly within the garden of my heart, not as the one who controls its growth, but as the one who trusts the hand that planted it. And slowly, Gently, petal by petal, love begins to bloom. Because the garden we search for is not somewhere far away. It is the place within us where the soul remembers its creator. I'll let that poem sink in for a while. And now we're going to go into some breathwork to open up that heart. So take a slow breath in through your nose and release it through the mouth. We're going to do that one more time. And as we do this, when you're breathing in, imagine the fresh light entering the garden of your heart. And on the exhale, release anything heavy that you've been carrying. So let's take a slow breath in through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. See that light entering the garden of your heart. Now release that breath and release anything heavy that you've been carrying. We're going to now inhale one more time, and then as you're inhaling, just imagine you're planting a seed of peace. And on the exhale, you're clearing the soil. So let's inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And planting that seed of peace. And let's exhale, clearing the soil. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just allow the breath to soften you. Sometimes tending the garden of the heart also means learning when to let something go. You know, there's moments in life when we try so hard to fix the situation. A relationship, a place, a chapter of life that we hoped would turn out differently. We think that if we just understand it better or try a little harder, maybe things would change. But sometimes the deepest act of care for the heart is something else. It's learning to place that situation gently in the hands of the divine, who knows. To say quietly, you see what I cannot see. You know what I do not know. Guide me towards what is good and release me from what is not. Leaving something with the divine does not mean we failed. It means we trust that the one who planted the garden of our hearts always knows how to take care for it. And sometimes when we loosen our grip on what we cannot control, the soul of the heart becomes softer, and that is where peace begins to grow. Perhaps becoming in the garden means this: learning to sit beside your own heart, the way a gardener sits beside the soil, not rushing it, not judging what grows there, simply tending it with care, pulling the weeds of doubt, watering the seeds of compassion, and letting the sunlight of hope reach the places that once felt dark, and trusting that even beneath the surface, life is quietly unfolding. Because the heart was always meant to bloom. So today, my dear souls, carry this small question with you. What am I planting in the garden of my heart? And remember, the garden you may be searching for in the world might already be growing quietly within you. Thank you for spending these few moments here with me. Until next time, keep listening to the whispers of your heart. As we come to the end of this sacred moment, let your heart carry what you felt today, and join me next Friday for another journey into the soul. More Maulana Rumi poetry, more whispers, more guidance for the heart. Until then, keep following the light within.